against slates. It just depends on the situation. What I'm telling you is for DNC, it really helps you out a lot if you pick a team to run with. Now you can be strategic about the team that you run with. For example, if there is a fighting chance that your candidate will get close to 100% of the vote or 2/3 of the vote, and maybe you know that there are probably going to be 6 slots in your CV for your candidate. You don't have to fill out all 6 slots with people that you run with. You could leave 1 or 2 of them open. When I ran, we left a couple of slots open because what we did not want to do is divide some of our friends and allies who, even though we cast a net far and wide and talk to organizations about which progressives do you have that are interested in running, we would like to work with them. Sometimes people don't hear about the process until later on in the game. Sometimes, we don't have perfect information. We didn't know at the time that there were several folks from the Obama campaign who were OFA organizers who were looking to run, and we would have been happy to add them to our slate, but we just didn't know. So instead, there were 2 slates, and not everyone could have gotten elected on both slates, but because we left a couple of slots open, some of them were able to get elected, and we have become really good friends ever since. So it's taking the long view. You don't have to burn that bridge with people. You can leave a few slots open. In terms of the people you pick, it really depends on the power dynamics in your particular congressional district. Diversity is generally a really good thing, and diversity of all kinds, including diversity of backgrounds, including diversity of the organizations that your fellow delegate candidates are participating in. When I went out there to pick the best farm team of all time, I talked to labor unions, I talked to the environmental community, I talked to Democratic Party organizations. I talked to my central committee to see if anyone in our district was interested in running. We even reached out to Congresswoman Barbara Lee's people. So, is there anyone that you would really like to see run for this? Then there's a really punctuated 4 to 6 weeks. And just like any organizing, there is no substitute for that personal phone call. If you can't get a live person on the phone, you can text them, maybe they will respond. Social media, I would say, let folks know on social media that you're running. We also had a sheet that we passed around. It was a 1-pager with a little bit of background information about our candidates' credentials. And we also mailed it out. So each of us had mailing lists, and we sent it out. And we kind of inundated people with information. Save the date from April 25th or whatever the heck it was in 2012. For 2 hours, you're going to be able to come in and elect us. Here are how the rules work. Do not be late. If you're not online by 4 p.m., you're out of luck. And we unfortunately did have people who showed up at 4:01 and they were turned away. Make sure that the people you select represent their respective communities, are strong enough in their respective communities to be able to bring their supporters. Our goal was each of us had to bring 100 unique supporters that were on our list. Some of them, of course, were cross-listed, but we really strove, and we actually had a master spreadsheet, and that's where we, 100 people here, 100 people that this other person is bringing. We put that up there, and we had group accountability. We were accountable to each other to talk to each and every one of those 100 people to make sure that they are coming.
So let's, Igor, we only have till 9:30, so why don't we?
That's good. Thank you.
Ideology. All the others, they're going to talk to you about it, but as someone that's run for office, at the end of the day, there's a day where you vote. You can have 100,000 people that can stand in line on the day before the election, and the day after the election, and you will lose that election. What makes this even more difficult, when you run for office, you have a whole 8 or 9, 10 hours to vote. This is condensed down to about 2 hours. You gotta get your votes in a 2-hour period of time. And if you don't think that's difficult, it is extremely difficult. Look at the day, the time of day that you're doing this. Because I'm of the opinion, I'd rather know whether I put them on a bus, whether I get a bunch of seniors on the bus, whether I get my church, which has 500 members, I can get them on a bus, use the church bus, because I know we're in church. I know they're there. I just herd them onto the bus, and over there, they vote, and I take them back to the church, we give them church dinner, and I'm good. But if it's Holy Communion Day on that Sunday, which is May 1st, all my plans get all messed up. So not only look at the day and what's going on that day, and making sure that there's nothing special going on with the people that you're trying to get out. Because again, you only have a 2-hour window. If they come a minute after, doesn't do you any good. They come 5 minutes before, doesn't do you any good. And what I tell people to get people out, I usually try either food, fantasy, or fun.
Say more about this fantasy.
That was not part of my electoral plan.
Well, you could say, Barack Obama's going to be there, and you have this cardboard cutout of Barack Obama. You're not necessarily lying. Or Bernie Sanders may show up. But whatever you do, the elected official is going to be there. Whatever you do to provide some kind of stimulus to get people to want to come, do it. In other words, make it fun. Whether you serve hot dogs, this is the one thing you can do where you can actually bribe people. I know would say that you can actually bribe people. It's not illegal. So you can have a fish fry. You can have a barbecue. You can do all of that if that will get people to show up in that 2-hour span of time to vote for you. The other thing is, whatever number of people you have on your list, and you're looking at it, and let's say you have 100, cut it in half. Because you really only have 50 that are committed to go there. And then cut that in half to 25, because doctor's appointment, headache, the Super Bowl's on, there's something's going on, and all of a sudden you even lose that many. So be very, very conservative about how many people are going to show up. Because for me, I don't want to totally depend on slates. I want to see if I can get my Delta number that I think I'm going to win in the room as best as possible. Otherwise, even if you're on a slate, if you're the last one, you're bringing up the rear, and you bring goose egg, you bring the whole slate down. And so whether you're on a slate, not on a slate, you got to take care of what you're going to do. And if the whole slate falls apart, guess what? Your 100 votes might actually get you there. And then on affirmative action, I think I mentioned earlier about I was a Hillary delegate, so probably the lone African-American in California for Hillary Clinton, the first time that Barack Obama ran. But that was a strategy. One, we have affirmative action criteria. And so even if I didn't get on, I knew the Hillary people probably didn't know a whole lot of African-Americans, and I had a very good chance of getting on at large. And since I was a party leader, I also had a very good chance to get on as a Pleo. And the reason I said that is because
Open to any registered Democrat to come and vote for who are going to be the delegates in your congressional district. And then, as Brother Kobe said, depending on the vote between Clinton and Sanders, like some number that adds up to 6 delegates are gonna go to the convention from your congressional district, right? So, room just like this. Any registered Democrat can come in and vote for people. Like any election, just like what the Democratic Party does, as like how we work as an organization, you can maximize the number of people who will vote for you if you make a team. If you get on a team. If all of us here make a deal with one another, Reg is going to bring his friends, Deborah's gonna bring her friends, I'm gonna bring my friends. My friends are gonna vote for Reggie, my friends are gonna vote for Deborah, her friends are gonna vote for me, etc. Then we maximize the votes for us. People that don't know you, people who have no idea who you are, will come to this meeting and vote for you because their friend who's part of your team told them, vote for all of us that are on this list, right? This is how I'm getting to go. This is how you go from a war of all against all to a strategy to maximize the number of people that are voting for you beyond your own voter base and your own peer group and network. Does that make sense? It's hugely effective, right? It's the same reason when we go out and talk to voters and we say, look, you don't know this person, this woman who's running for water board. You have no idea who this is, but she's the Democrat. She's part of this team. You're gonna vote for her just like you're gonna vote for Hillary Clinton, or you're gonna vote for Jerry Brown, or other people you do know. We're all running as part of a team. This is a slate. And it's my experience is that, so I ran for delegate twice. I ran in 2004. And this is like an object lesson in how these dynamics change, right? I came to a room in Santa Barbara. I live in the city of Santa Barbara. Came to a room, it was in the Veterans Memorial Hall, a community center, and there were like 400 people at this thing, ready to vote for delegates. And I got up and wasn't part of the slate, but I got up and made a speech about building the Democratic Party and why I should be a delegate for the front runner in that election, this guy Howard Dean. And it was really tough, right? And I made it, I think, in the top 2 or the top 3. And I was like the top male vote getter, right? And then history happened, and apparently he like yelled, so that meant he couldn't be president or some shit like that. And by the time California voted, it was like poof, like it was like, who the hell is Howard Dean, right? And so the Kerry caucus that had happened on the same day, where it was like the same number of people were in the room who could go to the convention. Like if you showed up, you won, right? You didn't have to do any turnout. It was like no one at the John Kerry. Because everyone was like, John Kerry, that guy, he's boring. What the hell? It's all about Dean, right? But again, in between the picking of the delegates and the election where people voted for someone to be president, like all this stuff happened, and it was like John Kerry crushed it and got all the votes. So like everybody who was at the Kerry caucus went to, where was that convention? I don't know, I didn't go because I was a Dean delegate. Boston. Okay, so this is the thing, right? It's about turnout, it's about getting your friends, your family, your co-workers, anybody in your life who is a registered Democrat to come. And I really, really strongly recommend that you do this as part of a slate. It's just like raw math. It's just like politics, political sense in its most basic. That you can get other people to bring people to vote for you who don't know you, right? If you pledge to do the same thing. And in constructing a slate, I want to underline some of the things that both Igor and Reggie said, right? Is to think about diversity and to think about it in 2 ways. To think about it first from just a raw math way, right? Is that if there's someone on your slate who's a student, and you're not, that person's going to be able to bring people to come and vote that you don't know. A bunch of people, right? Like that woman, that man has a base. If a person is a union member and can mobilize their fellow union members to come and vote for your slate, that's great, right? If the person is just different than you, they're going to bring different people to come to that community center or that church or wherever and vote, right? This is just like common sense. We multiply our political power when we reach beyond the usual suspects and the people who look and talk and smell like us, right? Go get a diverse slate. It makes sense politically. But it's also like, come on, we're Democrats, right? And like, how are you gonna, I really hope you feel like shit. I hope you feel horrible if you mobilize the slate of like all upper class white folks to like be the delegation from your district and shut everybody else out from being a part of making history, right? Where either we're, nominating a Jewish socialist from Vermont or the first woman candidate in a major party. Like so either way, this is going to be like a really exciting thing and a wonderful thing to be in the room for. don't shut out people who are different than you just because you can. Make a diverse slate, both because it's smart politics, but also because like that's the right thing to do as progressives and as Democrats. And maybe you're going to help somebody who doesn't have a big peer group, who doesn't have a bunch of, who isn't already a party leader with a big network, but really wants to be part of it. The last thing that I want to add is that this is incredibly, incredibly good practice, right? It's incredibly good practice for party building, because there's so many things in our party. And the thing that I just love about the California Democratic Party in particular that's different than other state parties is that we have so many structures that are really open and small d democratic and flat. And you know that you can become a delegate to this convention by turning out regular folks to a meeting. You know that you can build power for your club by doing that, etc. This is incredibly, incredibly good practice for having your own GOTV, your own operation to turn people out to vote at a push of a button, right? So you get 50 people or 100 people to pledge to vote for you and come to that church whenever it is in May. But that's your base that you can reanimate, right? To make sure that you turn people out for a city council meeting where they're discussing a living wage ordinance, right? You're a community organizer, and you should see this as a community organizing opportunity and an opportunity to hone your skills as an organizer and to make that database, that spreadsheet of those 100 people, that's your base that you can turn out to move an agenda about whatever you care about and whatever animates you. So think about it that way. Thanks.